You're listening to Red Pill 78. I am the Corruption Detector, and this is your Red Pill News. Well, guys, we certainly are not going to be seeing the last of this case anytime soon. This is quite literally dominating the news cycle. Probably because it is one of the most important cases that we've ever had come across our tables and our newspapers and our screens in the last 100 years. This man that you see on the screen, Jeffrey, he has the power, or rather had the power, to bring down some of the most powerful individuals on the face of the earth. And unfortunately, due to his death, there may be a little bit of jeopardy involved there now in continuing to attempt to bring these people to justice. Now, luckily, the Department of Justice, Bill Barr, anyone involved with the case in the previous instance of it, they are not going to back down. I think that they're going to take a look very, very hard at anyone that had anything to do with this man or his criminal organization. So keep that in mind. But in the meantime, we've got lots of bits of new information that have come out just in the last 24 hours, and we're going to go over all of that in the next series of 4 stories. We'll be right back after a brief word from my sponsor, so sit back, relax, grab your popcorn, and don't change that dial. So take a look at this. This amazing coin is a symbol of belonging, your link to like-minded collectors, all belonging to a group who are trying to understand why the Cabal lives and what they can do about it. Where we go one, we go all is very apt, and it's one of the many sayings and symbols in the design, all instantly recognizable to anyone who knows and sees this coin up close. It's packed with symbolism, and it has a secret to tell. You can carry this around in your pocket or wallet, and like a secret token, you can show it by taking it out. By using the augmented reality technology built into the accompanying brochure, you can download an app called Zapper and watch a privileged information video just for followers of Q. You'll feel a part of the Great Awakening like never before and own something very rare and very special. Now you can go to greatawakeningcoin.com and use the code REDPILL78 to get $5 off a package of 2 coins. Find out more about the Q coin and reveal its mysteries at greatawakeningcoin.com, and don't forget, use the code REDPILL78. The choice to know will be yours. All right, well, it turns out there's some breaking news coming out of the MCC. The prison employee who was guarding Jeffrey was not, in fact, a correctional officer. It's simply stunning. One of the 2 guards who was on duty was not even a prison guard. He was just a corrections employee at the Metropolitan Correctional Center, and he was guarding the highest profile prisoner in the U.S. prison system. Jeffrey was not checked on for hours the night he was killed, and that undoubtedly is the reason that he was able to kill himself and or be suicided. Let's go ahead and take a listen to this story coming from Fox News.
Up, Dad.
Congratulations to Chris Wallace and the entire Fox News team.
All right, still a lot of unanswered questions surrounding the shocking death of alleged pedophile Jeff Epstein. Well, convicted in one sense. Trace Gallagher live from our West Coast newsroom. We have new information about one of the people guarding him was not a corrections officer?
We do indeed, Sean. And remember, you have to find out that after he was found with bruises on his neck back in July, Jeffrey Epstein was on suicide watch, meaning 24-hour surveillance. After psychological assessments and pressure from Epstein's attorneys, the watch was dropped, and Epstein was put in special housing with no cameras. He did have a cellmate, which is policy, but for unknown reasons, the cellmate transferred out. And at the time of his death, Epstein was alone. The jail was mandated to check Epstein every 30 minutes, but when he was found unresponsive, he had not been. It's unclear exactly how long he'd been unresponsive. The prison guards union blames understaffing, and the Associated Press now says one of the 2 guards on duty wasn't even officially a prison guard, simply a corrections employee that filled the void during that time. Sean.
I know my mom as a prison guard had all this forced overtime, but they were all corrections officers. All right, Trace, thank you. All right, we'll never be...
Absolutely incredible to think that they would not have an actual prison guard looking over the most high-profile prisoner in the history of this country. Undoubtedly, this has something to do with the reason that he is no longer a part of this earth and why many of the women who he abused and harmed will not be able to seek and find justice in the way that they had been hoping for so long. Now, apparently, shouting and shrieking could be heard from Jeffrey's cell on the morning he died. This is coming out of a new report. Now, it's citing an unnamed source, but it claims that corrections officers were also heard saying, "Breathe, Epstein, breathe," while trying to revive him. The cellmate of Epstein was transferred out of their shared cell on the eve of the high-profile prisoner's death, leaving him alone and unmonitored. Jeffrey, 66, was being held in the special housing unit of the Metropolitan Correctional Center in New York City and was supposed to be checked on every 30 minutes per the jail's procedure. However, he wasn't. But a person who had been assigned to share a cell with Jeffrey was transferred on Friday for reasons that investigators are still exploring. He did not receive a new cellmate, the person familiar with the matter said Sunday night. That left Jeffrey, who had previously been placed on suicide watch, alone and unmonitored, at least in the hours before his death, by even those officers assigned to guard him, the Washington Post reports. Now, Jeffrey's cellmate prior to his most recent one was a hulking ex-cop, Nicholas Tartaglione, who has been charged with murdering 4 men in a cocaine conspiracy. Jeffrey is said to have feared him, and the former Briarcliff Manor cop was questioned following the individual's previous attempt to take his life back in July, which the financier said was actually an attack on his life, not a suicide attempt. Remember, the previous incident, July 23rd, it was never cleared up whether Epstein was attacked, as he said, or if he was covering up his own suicide attempt, the Washington Post reporter Carol Lenning reported. Now, according to a report from the Associated Press, along with Jeffrey not being checked on, his being removed from suicide watch, and his cellmate being moved, the guards who were assigned to him were also spread thin, with one of them being on his 5th straight day of overtime. The NYC medical examiner has performed an autopsy on Jeffrey, but has said that they need more information before a cause of death can be determined, though immediate reports said he had committed suicide by hanging himself in his cell. Today, a medical examiner performed the autopsy of Jeffrey Epstein. The ME's determination is pending further information at this time. At the request of those representing the decedent and with the awareness of the federal prosecutor, I am allowed a private pathologist, Dr. Michael Bodden, to observe the autopsy examination. This is routine practice, Chief Medical Examiner Dr. Barbara Sampson said in a statement provided to the Gateway Pundit on Sunday. My office defers to the involved law enforcement agencies regarding other investigations around this death. Inquiries regarding the determination of the chief medical examiner should be directed towards my office. Jeffrey's case was putting many rich and powerful people in the spotlight over their connections to the individual. He had been denied bail and was facing 45 years in prison on federal trafficking and conspiracy charges. Attorney General William Barr claimed in a statement on Monday that they will get to the bottom of what happened. He said, "We will get to the bottom of what happened, and there will be accountability," Barr said. I was appalled and frankly angry to learn of the MCC's failure to adequately secure this prisoner. Now, the private island of Jeffrey was raided on Monday by the FBI, and drone footage obtained by NBC News showed that they had at least 2 computer desktops and an Apple computer packaged and marked to be seized. Now, we're going to go ahead and take a look next at that new drone footage that was captured by Rusty on YouTube. So hold on one moment, and we'll be right back with that. All right, here we have the newest drone footage of Little St. James Island showing the FBI searching the island. We're going to see a couple of very interesting things. For not only are they searching the island and the compound itself, it looks like they also had divers in the water searching around the island. And if you've been watching the show for a while, then you'll know that I have speculated on perhaps the possibility that there might be an underground entrance or maybe some type of submarine docking facility that would allow people to enter and exit the island without anyone being able to see them from up above. But here we can see he's zooming in over the main living quarters of the compound, and right there inside that window we can see FBI agents searching the residence. Now, it looks like at one point the FBI agents do notice that they are being watched because they frantically try to cover the windows and make it so that they can't be seen. But you can see right there an FBI vest. Looks like they're looking out the window at the drone, talking to someone on a walkie-talkie type device right there. Looking up. Yep. we've got a drone. We've got a drone watching us in here. They've certainly got their hands full, but they're not going to allow the public to watch what they're doing. They are going to find a lot of very interesting things on this island. I think that the biggest question is why? Why did they not search the island sooner? Why did they need to wait until Jeffrey was dead? I don't think they did. I think that it would have been very easy for them. Oh, look at that. He's right there, right there. You can see it. I think it would have been very easy for them to get a search warrant to investigate this home and search the premises. Wow, that's pretty incredible that we were able to get such a close view of this FBI investigator there. All three of those computers right there. You can see several FBI agents moving in and out of the residence. This is incredible footage right here, Rusty. Good for you, buddy. Very, very interesting. We can see FBI agents walking to and fro, going inside. Oh my goodness. Looks like there is NYPD there as well. We have FBI and NYPD there on the island. And we've got this drone very, very, very close. It looks almost like the FBI agents could just reach up and grab this out of the sky. But clearly, they're not going to do that. So they're just continuing to search the residence. They are getting everything packed up. Looks like perhaps that looks like another NYPD officer right there. Yep. Another NYPD. So now the question is, what are these NYPD officers doing there? This is clearly outside of their jurisdiction. Perhaps they are interested in helping out because they also had some investigative help with the Wiener laptop. Remember that? It was the NYPD that had their hands all over that Wiener laptop. And I should mention that an eighth NYPD officer has just recently committed suicide. We're actually going to take a look at something about that in just a moment. But here we go. FBI pulling up some Home Depot boxes to block the windows so that this drone will not get any more footage. They're going to take care of that in short shrift. But very, very interesting that we've got FBI, NYPD all here on Little St. James Island investigating this house. What do you guys think? What assistance could the New York Police Department be giving that would be helping the FBI in this particular situation? I don't know anything about law enforcement, you guys, but if there are any viewers out there that are law enforcement and can comment on how or why the NYPD would necessarily need to be there, I would be very, very interested to find out exactly what that's all about. We've got, obviously, Jeffrey has a residence in New York City. I would imagine the NYPD and the FBI tag-teamed the search of that New York residence. But this is far, far, far outside the jurisdiction of the NYPD. You know what's crazy is that this is the closest Rusty has gotten to the residence here. I wonder why he waited until now to swoop in and get a close view. Wow, almost going under that awning there, looking directly inside the residence. I just want to say once again, excellent footage here from Rusty. He's done a great job. This is so incredible. It just boggles the mind. All right, guys, let's go ahead and take a look at that story about the NYPD officer that has committed suicide. Well, an off-duty Bronx cop has shot himself in the head at home Tuesday morning, the 8th NYPD officer to die by suicide this year. And this is, all of them have died in the exact same manner. This was only a 35-year-old officer, Johnny Rios. He was a 7-year department veteran who had been temporarily assigned to a detail around Yankee Stadium. He shot himself around 3 a.m. in the Yonkers home he shared with his fiancée and his children, law enforcement sources said. The fiancée was home at the time. It's unclear if the kids were, and he left behind a note. The NYPD suffered another tragedy today with the loss of another officer to suicide, the department said in a tweet. To those who may be facing struggles, help is always available and you are not alone. And then, of course, they offer counseling for anyone who is considering doing this. But I just want to say 8 NYPD officers all dying in the exact same manner. I know that a couple of them were supposed to have been ready to retire. Maybe they weren't looking forward to it. I actually have been speaking with a member of the NYPD, and you can bet that I'm going to send him a message asking about this particular incident. Hopefully, I can get some insight, and we can bring it to you guys here at home. All right, well, Good news, guys. Judicial Watch is on the case. It looks like Judicial Watch is going to be investigating the mysterious circumstances around Jeffrey Epstein's death, and they say that sources are talking. Conservative watchdog group Judicial Watch is officially investigating Jeffrey Epstein's mysterious death, and Tom Fitton said sources are talking. And here are the pertinent questions Judicial Watch is asking. Is the unit where Epstein died a crime scene? Preservation of evidence is critical. Fingerprints, hair samples, body fluids, location of body, method of death. Many investigations have been ruined at the outset from a failure to preserve the scene. Sound an alarm bell if the Epstein death location was not processed as a crime scene. Are records preserved? A source at the Bureau of Prisons tells us there would be a huge paper trail on Epstein. Documents, logs, interviews with prison psychologists, and others related to an alleged July 23rd suicide attempt, recordings of phone calls and text messages. Some of us with long memories remember the suicide of Deputy White House counsel Vince Foster. The Foster case dragged on for years and gave birth to numerous conspiracies, in part because the crime scene was mishandled and documents disappeared from his White House office. Can the money be followed? Epstein's finances were carefully concealed, but he was known for spreading money around to ease his problems. Prosecutors alleged he tried to buy off witnesses, and serving time at a Palm Beach County jail in 2008 and 2009 on a Florida prostitution charge, negotiated to keep him out of federal prison. Epstein managed to steer $128,000 to officials running the jail. Investigators should search for similar arrangements in New York. Are Bureau of Prison insiders corrupt? Most Bureau of Prisons employees are honest, but the organization has been repeatedly buffeted by corruption cases. Investigators will take a close look at everyone connected to Epstein at the facility. Are the Epstein lawyers complicit? How far can a lawyer go for a client? Did any of Epstein's lawyers facilitate illegal acts? Getting information from Epstein's lawyers is central to the case. Epstein met repeatedly with his legal team while in jail, and the New York Times reported that 2 lawyers closely involved in Epstein's finances have hired lawyers of their own, criminal defense specialists. The Times elsewhere reports that Epstein's lawyers brought in their own pathologist, famed forensic examiner Michael Warden, to observe the Epstein autopsy. According to the Wall Street Journal, Epstein was taken off suicide watch after the July 23rd incident at the request of his attorneys. Expect a big legal battle if investigators move on Epstein's lawyers. Is the Department of Justice incompetent? The Epstein case is a major challenge for Attorney General William Barr. He says both the FBI and the Justice Department Inspector General will open investigations into the Epstein death, but that may not be enough. Years of controversy and mismanagement related to the Clinton emails, the Clinton Foundation, and other matters morphed into turmoil over the 2016 election, FBI leadership, the Russia case, and President Trump. The Justice Department is now an institution in crisis. We've been hearing from sources connected to the incident, and we've brought a series of Freedom of Information actions to make sure key documents don't get buried. But that's no substitute for a properly functioning Justice Department, Judicial Watch said. Here's what we know so far about Epstein's mysterious death. He was reportedly found hanging in his jail cell from his bunk bed with a prison bed sheet wrapped around his neck, according to a law enforcement source who spoke to the New York Post. Epstein, who is 6 foot tall, reportedly secured the bed sheet to the top bunk and wrapped the sheet around his neck. Epstein was put on suicide watch after he reportedly tried to kill himself shortly after he was arrested on July 6th on charges of sex trafficking of minors. We now know that Epstein was taken off of suicide watch on July 29th at the request of his attorneys. Although Epstein was taken off suicide watch, prison guards who were working overtime broke protocols and failed to check on him every 30 minutes. Epstein was also supposed to have a cellmate. However, his cellmate was removed the night before he died. Jeffrey was the most high-profile prisoner in the U.S. system with connections to the world's elite, yet there were no cameras pointing directly into his prison cell. Just incredible. According to a report released Tuesday morning, people heard shrieking and shouting from Epstein's cell the morning he died. The New York City Medical Examiner still has not released Epstein's autopsy report. Now, we've got video here from Tom Fitton, but it basically goes over everything that we just talked about. Obviously, you guys, This is a very strange case, and I think a lot of people are going to be culpable when it comes down to exactly what happened to him. We're going to have to keep our eyes out. You can bet that I'm going to be continuing to report on this. I want to let you guys know that on Sunday, I have a very special program I'm going to be releasing with an interview from Technofog on Twitter. He is a lawyer, and we spoke for about an hour and a half about the Epstein case, about General Flynn, about many other things. So please do not miss that program. That will be premiering 5 p.m. on Sunday afternoon. All right, and finally, the warden of the jail where Jeffrey died is going to be reassigned, and 2 staff members from his unit have been placed on administrative leave. The Bureau of Prisons is temporarily reassigning the warden of New York's Metropolitan Correctional Center and has placed 2 staff members assigned to Jeffrey Epstein's unit on administrative leave. The warden's reassignment comes at the order of Attorney General William Barr. Honey Badger don't play. Justice spokesperson Carrie Kupek announced the administrative leave of the 2 other staff members on Tuesday afternoon, as reported by The Hill. CBS News, citing an unnamed source, also reported on Tuesday that shrieking and shouting was heard coming from his cell on the morning of his death. The source also said they heard corrections officers saying, "Breathe, Epstein, breathe," while trying to revive him. Of course, we also know that the cellmate was transferred out the night before he died, which left him alone and unmonitored. And he was being held in the special housing unit of the Metropolitan Correctional Center in New York City and was supposed to be checked on every 30 minutes, but he wasn't. But a person who had been assigned to share a cell with Epstein was transferred on Friday, and for reasons that investigators are still exploring, he did not receive a new cellmate, the person familiar with the matter said Sunday night. That left Epstein, who had previously been placed on suicide watch, alone and unmonitored, at least in the hours before his death, by even those officers assigned to guard him. Now, his cellmate prior had been that hulking cop, Nicholas Tartaglione. Epstein said he was afraid of him, and he intimated that perhaps that could have been who had attacked him in that attack on July 23rd. And remember, we never found out whether it was officially a suicide attempt or whether it was officially an attack. But from reports, it sounds like it was an attack. So I'm very, very leery about what happened this time around. All right, guys, that is all the news on Jeffrey's case today. That is absolutely everything that I could get together. I think that, it just gets stranger by the day. I don't know what to think. It seems like very, very likely that he would have been taken out, but it seems, moderately likely that he might have wanted to kill himself, although I don't really think that that's the case. Somebody said something interesting to me, that he was very rich and powerful. He did anything that he wanted, any time that he wanted, and the fact that he was put into this prison cell and forced to not leave, not do anything, under very confining circumstances, that could have been very difficult for him to deal with. But I also think that it's really highly likely that there is people out there who wanted to take him out and wanted to kill him so that he couldn't talk about them or name their names. What do you guys think? Please leave your comments in the comment section below. As always, this has been Red Pill 78. I am the Corruption Detector, and this was your Red Pill News. Good luck, everyone, and God bless.